Hi everyone, and welcome to this recitation on WandB. I'm Aisha Palwa, and this presentation slide was put together by Michael and I. I'll walk you through how to use WandB as a powerful tool to manage, visualize, and track your deep learning experiments. So whether you're training your first model or you're running large-scale experiments, WandB can really simplify your work. So what exactly is WandB? It is a tool designed for machine learning engineers and data scientists. It helps you log metrics, track experiments, manage hyperparameters, and visualize model performance in real time. It integrates seamlessly with libraries like PyTorch and TensorFlow, and it is especially useful when you're working on deep learning projects where you want to iterate fast and stay organized. So if you're already writing training code, adding WandB usually takes just a couple of extra lines. OneDB has a number of great features. One of the most useful features is logging and visualization. So instead of creating numbers in the terminal, it's less abstract things like loss and accuracy in real time and compare different runs. This makes it much easier to spot trends and diagnose problems. Another feature is experiment resumption. If your runtime crashes, and let's be honest, that happens all the time. You don't need to start training from scratch. OneDB lets you pick up exactly where you left off using the run ID. OneDB can also automate hyperparameter tuning through sweeps. Normally, finding the right learning rate or batch size involves a lot of guesswork. Sweeps let you define a set space, and OneDB will run multiple experiments automatically to find the best model configurations for you. OneDB is great for teamwork. You can invite collaborators, share results, and even fork each other's experiments. It is a nice way to stay organized if you are working in groups. Before using OneDB, you need to create an account at wandb.ai. Once you sign in, navigate to your settings to get your API key. This API key connects your local training scripts to your OneDB dashboard online. Don't worry, this only needs to be done once, and after that, your environment stays authenticated. Alright, let's dive into the notebook and explore it hands-on. I'll guide you through each section and show exactly how everything works in practice. We're working with a CIFAR10 dataset and a convolutional neural network. Yes, the first thing we need to do is to install OneDB using pip. Then we import PyTorch, TouchVision, and a few other libraries. After that, we check whether we have a GPU available. If we do, training will run much faster than on the CPU. Here's where we authenticate with OneDB. You notice how the OneDB sets the API key and then calls OneDB.login. Once this is done, your runs will automatically sync to your account. All you need to do is to paste your API key here. Next, we load the CIFAR10 dataset for training and testing. This is a common benchmark dataset of small colored images in 10 classes. We have a couple of helper functions. This particular helper function builds data loaders so we can easily batch and shuffle the data during training. And here's our simple convolutional neural network. It has one convolutional layer, batch normalization, ReLU activation, average pooling, flattening, and then a linear layer for classification. Nothing too fancy, just enough to test OneDB. Don't worry if some of this looks unfamiliar right now. You get a deeper understanding of CNNs as the class progresses. So for today, just focus on how we log and track the model. This small helper function just helps to return our optimizer, either SGD or ADAM, depending on what is being passed in. And here we have our train epoch helper function. Now, here's the important part of the training flow. We train the model for a number of epochs. We calculate the loss and accuracy, and at the end of each epoch, we log the results to OneDB. So see this particular line where we have OneDB.log metrics. That's the line that sends everything to your OneDB dashboard. Since training takes a while, I already pre-ran this book, so we can just head to OneDB in order to view the results. Here, it's basically just calling the helper functions we defined earlier, and so now we can view the results on OneDB. And this is a dashboard. On this dashboard, you get to see like your train loss or your train accuracy across different epoch. Now, what happens if your training gets interrupted? You can resume the same run by passing the run ID and setting resume is equal to. That way, training continues seamlessly and the results stay in the same place. In order to retrieve your run ID, you navigate to that particular run, and here is the run ID. You copy it and then just paste it here, pass it in as the run ID, and you're good to go. Now, let's look at one of WandB's most useful advanced features, the automated hyperparameter tuning, using what WandB calls sweeps. To clarify, the hyperparameters are the settings we define before training a model, such as the learning rate, the batch size, or the number of layers. These choices significantly affect the performance of a model. Traditionally, selecting the right combination of hyperparameters involves trial and error, which can be time-consuming. WandB sweeps help automate the process. You start by specifying a configuration file where you define hyperparameters to explore and their possible range of values. Then WandB launches multiple training runs with different combinations of those values. It can follow various strategies, such as the grid search, Bayesian, or random, in order to explore the search space efficiently. This approach not only saves time but also increases the likelihood of finding a better performing model configuration without you having to manually test each option. So here we define a sweep config with a search space of optimizers, learning rates, batch size that we want to explore, and then we launch the sweep with the WandB.agent. WandB then runs multiple jobs and logs them all. This makes it really easy to compare configurations. You can see the sweep here on the WandB dashboard. You get to see the sweeps across different multiple runs. For example, you can compare how different optimizers or the learning rate affects the loss curve. So now back to the notebook. Artifacts, along with metrics, WandB lets us track models. So in the notebook, whenever we achieve a new best accuracy, we save the model checkpoint. That checkpoint is also logged to WandB as an artifact. If we scroll a little back to our training loop function, which is right here, we can see we are saving each artifact and adding it to WandB. So when you scroll to WandB, when you head to the WandB dashboard, at the you can on the artifacts tab, you get to see a history of all your saved models where you can download or restore specific versions later. This is especially useful when you want to reproduce results or compare models across experiments. Each entry you see here is a saved model checkpoint with its version and run info, and you can download it, restore it, or you compare the models. And now, at the end of each run, we call WandB.finish. This tells WandB that the current run is complete and ensures all metrics, artifacts, and logs are properly uploaded to the dashboard. Just think of it like closing and saving a document. It finalizes everything for that run. So, collaboration on WandB. WandB really shines in team environments. You can invite your collaborators to your project, your workspace, and view each other's experiments. You can comment on your rounds. You can even fork each other models or sweeps, as mentioned earlier. It's really a great way for you to stay in sync during cool projects or research collaborations. By default, WandB projects are private, which means only you or your team can see them. So if you want reviewers, instructors, or collaborators outside of your team to access your work, you need to make your project public. And in order to do that, you head to your project page on wandb.ai and click on this edit button. And Under project visibility, you click on public to make the particular project public and accessible to others. Sometimes though, you may notice that the public option isn't available and you can only see either team or restricted. That happens when your organization or team admin has disabled public visibility. In that case, you need to ask your team to update the privacy settings. All they need to do is to head to the team settings and scroll down to the privacy options, and then just make sure like this, make all featured team project private is turned off. Once that's done, the public option will appear and you'll be able to share your projects for review or evaluation. Before we wrap up, just a quick note on storage. WandB gives free storage, 100 gigabytes for individual accounts and 5 gigabytes for group or team accounts. So if you exceed the limit, you may lose access to some runs. It's a good idea to monitor your usage. Since you're working in groups and will likely have multiple assignments, one way to manage storage is by rotating who creates the group account per assignment. This spreads out the storage usage and helps avoid hitting the cap too quickly. That's everything for today's WandB tutorial. We hope this helped you understand how WandB can streamline your deep learning workflow, especially when it comes to logging, tuning, and collaborating. If you have any questions or you want help setting it up, please feel free to reach out on Piazza. Thanks for listening.